Guys, welcome back. I know, long time no talk. That's what happens when you break a fucking rib in January. And then you just suffer for 2 months, just dying every day. Every day you die a little bit, you know? Well, I'm stoked to be back. Today we have a very cool interview. Really fun band. Kind of two parts of the world. One guy's from Australia, one guy's from Texas, and they make music online. Very fun pop punk music. Very nostalgic pop punk music. If you grew up in like the 2000s, I love these guys. I should have put this out way sooner, but you know, life gets in the way and stuff. So guys, without further ado, let's get into it.
Get into it, press play, don't quit. Feel the vibe, talk and listen live. Get into it, hit subscribe, don't sit. Join the crew, every week something new. Nostalgia.
All right, and we're back with two upcoming musicians, Rossi Burr and Michael Swank, who formed Internet Friends. Guys, how's it going?
Good.
Chilling.
Thank
We're
you
doing good.
for saying musician. I'm not sure I would describe myself that way, but that's very kind of you.
Ross is so mean to himself. It's crazy. Crazy.
I'm just honest about what I'm good at. I'm a great songwriter and a very, very, very average guitarist.
Crazy. This dude's nuts.
Dude, I get it. That's I say the same thing about my comedy. I totally understand.
Your comedy is funny. I've seen
Thank you.
stuff. Yeah, I enjoy it. I think it's funny.
Thanks. You'd be one of the first. Anyway, so we're so you guys met online, which is fun. A lot of people do it now. Was it awkward meeting in person?
No, not at
Really?
all. Yeah, it wasn't at all. I think our personalities just work really well together. Like it was just even from like the first like Zoom call we did, like before we actually like met up in person, like yeah, it kind of just felt like we knew each other like way before that. Or like we talked at least somewhat before. But yeah, it was pretty natural. And then like I picked him up from the airport when he like flew down here, like the first time we actually like met up. And he like stayed at my house for a week and we just kicked it the whole time. It was dope. It was dope.
Yeah. It's weird because you expect in those situations, like flying halfway around the world, to stay with someone for a week that you don't know. You know, I always say, like, I said to my wife, like, the worst thing that could happen is I have a really, really awkward week. And the best thing that could happen is we end up here. And yeah, within like 2 or 3 minutes of being in the car together, like we both just clicked. It was awesome. And I think it's even crazier for us two to click because, I mean, Michael, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but we're both like a little bit introverted. Do you know what I mean? So
Sure, yeah.
yeah, so like it's I mean, yeah. So when we got in the car, like my mind was like, okay, we've got a week, we've got to knuckle down if we're gonna do stuff. So just gonna be fully vulnerable and just see what happens and hope I don't scare this guy off. And Michael did the same thing, and we just like, yeah, we just clicked, and it was an amazing week.
That's great. I like how you said the worst thing that can happen is like it's awkward and you do not watch enough true crime. It shows. Um
I watch true crime all the time, and I didn't even fucking think about it, dude. I was like, it's so funny how that happened. But I mean, the other end of it too is like, I say this like to a bunch of people, but yeah, if you're gonna join a band with somebody that you don't know, you definitely got to make sure you kind of vet them a little bit. You
Oh,
like
for sure.
definitely make sure that you're, you
Yeah.
gotta make sure everything's like good to go. But yeah, in our case, it was just like there were a lot of things that lined up where it like made sense, So, but yeah, true crime. Anything can happen if you're not careful enough, for sure.
Fair enough. Um, so I gotta assume you guys have been in bands prior to this, right?
Yeah, we both have.
Sort
You
of.
have.
You have.
No, you were doing stuff like it was a while back, but you were still like in
Yeah, when I
bands,
was like, I mean, I'm 30 32, 33. I forget how old I am, something like that. When I was a teenager, like MySpace days, like 15 years old, I was in a band and we did okay in the UK or whatever, nothing spectacular. But then after I left that band, I fell into the business side of music, so that's where I've been for the last 14, 15 years doing that. But
Okay.
Michael in Micah Relocate. Like, do you know what I mean? Like he was actually in a band. Like
I've been in bands literally, yeah, most of my life since I was like 14, 13, 14 was like
Mm.
when I would join my first band. And then since then I've like never I've been in like very short periods of not being in anything, but yeah, most of that time I've been just working at least like the entire time I've been working on music, but most of the time I've been in bands. So,
Right.
yeah.
Okay. So in that time frame, like from then until now, how has your writing process with songwriting, lyric writing, whatever, how has that evolved from those early days?
For
Um
me, I would say I just like opened my I opened my horizons, I guess, to like bigger like different genres of music. Like when I was first like sitting and writing songs, I was like very much pigeonholed into like scene only, like all the MySpace stuff, pop punk, like everything. But when I started touring, I got really into pop music personally, and like me and like my bandmates would just listen to like nothing but pop stuff or R&B stuff, and I think that like going through that process and listening to those like great songwriters and like actively listening to what's happening in songs and like where things are changing, like how choruses hit, like all these little things, like I think it's taught me personally a lot. um but yeah, I mean, just putting the time in, and like when you sit down and like really focus on songwriting, obviously that's when you're going to see the best results, but like even over time, like you start to hear like what makes a good song, if that makes sense. So
right.
Sure.
yeah, it's like I don't want to say it's a formula because it's definitely not a formula, but
No.
you definitely like you pick up on some tricks along the way, and you just add those tricks to like your arsenal, and so every song gets better and better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
All
for me
right.
as well, like I started off like writing songs and stuff when I was, 12, 13, 14. They were all terrible, but everyone starts somewhere. And then when I left the band that I was in as a teenager and I went into the business side of music, I did that because I discovered that I was quite a lot better at the time, helping other people like do what I wanted to do. Do you know what I mean? And I think, yeah, like so I think like something about melody has always just been in me. Um, and up until COVID, I kind of forgot that I had that ability. So when COVID happened and we were all forced to just be at home and do nothing, long story short, like I was stuck in the I was living in America at the time. Now I live in Australia because I just got married to an Australian woman. But I was stuck in the UK at the time and found my childhood guitar and just started writing songs again just to pass the time. And the first one I wrote and I was like, it's all right. The second one I wrote, I was like, oh, that's pretty good. And the third one I wrote, I was like, oh my God, like that's sick. Do you know what I mean? And then the
Yeah.
songwriting bug just like completely bit me again. Um, and it just started to kind of flow out of me. But I think, yeah. How do I put this? I think the way my writing has. Oops. Sorry, hang on. Oh my God, my wife is texting me. Um, I think the way that my writing. Sorry, guys. I
You're
think the
good.
way that my writing has evolved is, yeah. I've been thinking a lot about this recently, right? So I think the unique thing about my influence when it comes to writing is that, like all of us, when I was a kid, I was the kid with the Limp Bizkit t-shirt, the baggy jeans, the wallet
Hell
chain.
yeah.
We all were like that was the thing, right? But I was also the kid that was listening to Britney Spears, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, you know? I was heavily, and no shame about it, I still listen to all of that stuff now. I was heavily into boy bands and girl bands. Um, and just great pop music. So I think a lot of the writing process, like to get better at writing, one way you can do it to get better at writing is just to treat it like a musical instrument. You sit down, you write, and it's just practice, right? I think the other thing that happened for me was that I listened to I didn't write any music for 14, 15 years, but I'm still listening all the time to great pop music, and I'm analyzing it from a business perspective, like a manager's perspective as well. And I think if you listen to that stuff enough, then you don't only start to ingrain in your brain what a great melody should sound like, but what a great melody should feel like, because you recognize the, do you know what I mean? You recognize the
Yeah.
feel, you recognize the feeling that a certain melody under a certain chord structure gives you from great pop music. So when it came around to writing songs again in 2020, the way it was different, even though I hadn't written a song in 14, 15 years, it's almost like my radar was more in tune to what I was going after. So I'd noodle around on a guitar and, just sing, whatever fucking stupid lyrics come out until it hits on something and you go, oh, I've got that feeling. And this is the same feeling that this amazing pop song gave me. So I should lean into this. Do you know what I mean? So it was almost
Yeah.
like I hadn't written a song for 14, 15 years. It's like my radar for melody and stuff like that was more in tune. So I was able to, hone in on that. So that's how I think my writing has been influenced over the years, just by
That's
listening to
perfect.
really, really great
Yeah.
pop music.
Yeah, I mean, I think I mean, and I definitely see it like you guys have these kind of explosive pop choruses, in your songs, and it's very like it's fun, right? Like pop music's supposed to be
Thanks,
fun. You guys are
Ryan.
fucking fun with it. Yeah, of course.
Pretty
Um
awesome, dude.
and you both brought up like, you grew up in that like that era of like MySpace music, right? Like and your branding is very on point with that, like, oh, AOL, instant messenger, MySpace, stuff like that.
Nice.
Are you guys afraid Gen Zers are gonna think that's dumb because they don't get it? They weren't there.
I don't know. I kind of feel like a lot of that stuff's kind of like making a return a little bit. I mean, some of it maybe people wouldn't really truly understand. I guess like some, but I feel like a lot of like the styles, like stylistically, like early 2000s and 90s is like so prevalent right now in like fashion and just like the way music sounds. Personally, I feel like so. Yeah, I don't know. I guess some of like the vibe, it's possible that it might be, but I feel like sonically and like in that sense, I feel like it's kind of a cool thing right now. It's like a cool time to do it, you know?
Y2K core.
Yeah,
Look, I'm
Y2K
for it.
core.
I
Yeah.
am
Yeah,
for it.
yeah, it's definitely it's yeah. I mean, look, we do the early 2000s, late 90s like branding stuff just because that was the era that we grew up in and we find that stuff fun. And
Yeah, I
there's a
think it's
little
cool.
element of nostalgia to it, it's just fun, right? But um I still view it as the most important thing is the song. Or to be more specific, um I've said this before, like I think the eventual success of internet friends, if it does pop off, is at the moment the songs that I write and the way that Michael delivers them. I think, as long as that's great, then I don't think anyone would be like, oh, this is a cool song. Oh, wait, I'm not going to follow them because they're posting about Game Boys and N64. Do you know what I mean? Like, it
Yeah.
all comes down to the song. That's the most important thing. Um, and I can also, I mean, I won't name any names, but like, if you look at other artists, there are like, sorry, let me get backtrack a little bit. The song, right, is that great music and great songs is what, in my opinion, creates longevity. But there are artists out there that can get a lot of short-term success from kind of average songs. but their branding is so good. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
Um,
100%.
yeah. Yeah. So I like to think our branding is pretty good. I don't think it's amazing, but it's pretty good. But the thing that this project hangs on for me is the music. Like that's number one. If we want longevity, that has to be the main focus.
100%. Yeah, no. I think the branding, it is that callback to, once again, like those that it was a very specific time in culture, right? Where
Hmm.
Mm.
like everyone was connected. MySpace blew up all these bands.
Yep.
I don't know, it's something, it's a fun, it's a very fun nostalgic thing. And then I think your music delivers right on that. It's great.
Like
What was the recording process like? Because you recorded with Matt Squire and Courtney Ballard, right?
Hmm. Yep. It was awesome. Those guys are great. I've known Courtney for a minute, like probably like almost 10 years now. It's crazy to think about. But yeah, I've known Courtney for a while, so we've always kind of just been like friends. And but we like we've worked together like maybe once over that whole time. So it's like cool to like be working with him, I guess, more frequently.
Mm.
Uh, and then Matt too. Matt was like someone that we both didn't know. We just were familiar with his work, and he made it really easy, like to work with him, just based off of who he is. He's very like
yeah.
Ross used this term a lot, disarming. Like
Yeah.
he's very good at like keeping the room fun, and like we just like fire off jokes. Like it's another one of those instances where you feel like you've known the guy for forever, and then you come out and the product is just badass. And like yeah, the overall experience, like we were in and out in 2 weeks, but it was like it flew by. It was
Yeah.
pretty
It did.
nuts. Yeah, a lot of fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah. It
that's
was
incredible.
Yeah.
yeah. No, just to ditto Michael a little bit. It was really cool working with both of those guys, and it was really interesting for me to see the difference in different producers, like how they control the room, how they control personalities, what they want. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, Different ways of working. Because I don't think it's not a case of there's the best producers and there's the worst producers. Do you know what I mean? I think it's the wrong and right producers for you. Like, I mean, a great example of this is like Rick Rubin and Slipknot. Do you know what I mean? Like Rick
Okay.
Rubin do you know what I mean? Like Rick Rubin is clearly I mean, I don't really understand him, but there's something he's got, right? that that has there's something he's got where he is able to create magic with these people over and over again, regardless of what his process is. And when it came to Slipknot, I might get the story a bit wrong, but they didn't gel. Do you know what I mean? Biggest and arguably the biggest and best
Ah.
producer in the world, but it comes to Slipknot working with him, and it did not work. Do you know what I mean? So what I'm trying to say is that like it was really eye opening for me to see how Matt worked with us and how Courtney worked with us, and to like try and identify like, oh, these are the things that Matt did with us that really brought out the best in us in this way, and these are the things differently that Courtney did that Matt didn't do that brought out the best in us in other ways. So you start to the more kind of producers you work with, you start to realize like what you need, and that's really I think the basis of picking a great producer. And we're still on the path of learning, about all these different people. But yeah, I mean, we just went back and recorded the second EP with Courtney, which is really cool. So, I mean, if this is going out when did you say this is going out? In November?
Like November, December, yeah.
November, December. Okay, cool. Well, by that point, I don't know, maybe the first track of that EP might be out. But yeah, so
Ooh.
yeah, it was really fun. But yeah, especially I think working with Matt Squire first for me was definitely the right move, just because, as Michael said, I say all the time, like Matt is so disarming, and like going into going into Matt's studio, and then the first thing you see is like the Panic at the Disco gold record on the wall, and then you see all time
Sure.
low. You know what I mean? For me, like Michael has worked with producers and stuff loads, so I'm sure he was less affected by it. But me walking in, I'm shaking. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just like, but Matt was so good as a first producer to work with because he is so disarming. So within 5 minutes, he makes you feel like you're his mate, and we're talking about UFOs. Completely calms the room, and then you're like, oh wow, this is going to be an amazing 2 weeks. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, love Matt.
That's amazing. And it kind of shows that, like, I don't know, aside from the songwriting and stuff, like the production side of your EP is just like it's it has it all, like
Mhm.
it's really good.
Thank you.
Um, yeah, of course. So now the part of the podcast where we dive into the albums, right? So Rossi, you picked Funeral for a Friend's Casually Dressed and Deep in Conversation. And Michael, you picked Backstreet Boys Millennium. Uh oh,
Yeah,
fantastic picks. Fantastic picks. I
yeah.
love this. Uh why did you guys pick, like, why these albums? How did they get you into, or how did they put you onto this road of like, all right, I want to make music. Like, if they can do it, I can fucking do it.
Yeah, I think yeah, that was it was a really hard thing, like trying to come up with an album, because really my answer should be similar to Michael's, like Backstreet Boys Millennium, because all those boy bands and girl bands is what got me hooked on melody. Like those boy bands and girl bands were some of the first songs that I remember playing on repeat. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But um Casually Dressed and Deep in Conversation by Funeral for a Friend was that first album that I heard all the way through and made me go, I want to write. Like if I want to start writing music to make other people feel like this album from Funeral for a Friend makes me feel. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
So that's why I chose that one.
Yeah. I as far as like Backstreet Boys go, just thinking back to like when I was a kid, like that was the first concert I ever went to, was a Backstreet Boys concert.
I'm so jealous of that.
I know, it was so sick, dude. It was so sick. And I was like probably like 8 years old, but like
That's so good.
kind of to sum it up, like I started singing literally because I was like I'd be like in my mom's car or whatever, like, or with my parents' friends and like my friends, and I would just be like randomly singing stuff, like a lot of NSYNC, a lot of Backstreet Boys, just like pop music. And I guess I always had like a kind of like knack for singing, like it just like I had a good ear, and I think I just like I had a way I could like replicate that. And like so my friends or my parents and like I guess my friends' parents and people started noticing that yeah I could sing along to these songs, and it was like not bad, it was pretty good. And so my parents kind of decided to put me in choir growing up, like based off of that. So I got into choir and I like got into like singing and like just did that for a long time, and then that led me into joining bands and like working on my voice and little things like that. And yeah, it's really crazy how like that one little thing, just like listening to these boy band records and like kind of trying to sing it, like imitate it or whatever, just like led to something so crazy, because yeah, if I hadn't done like choir in middle school and all that, that wouldn't have led me to do choir in high school, where I met the first people I was in bands with. And like that turned into me meeting more and more people. And like that, like there's like little things that happened where I met people in choir that like introduced me to other people. And then I end up in a touring band with those people. You know what I mean? It's like, it's crazy stuff
Sure.
like that. So yeah, when I think back to like that record, like Backstreet Boys, it just kicked off everything for me. Like that one, like getting into those records was just like monumental. Yeah, so that's why I picked that.
Right on.
Sick.
So, do you think, based on, on those albums, have you taken any, like, like, oh shit, that's a good idea for like songwriting, or that's a good idea, like that's a cool guitar part, like maybe I can do something like that. Did you see a lot of influence in that regard from those albums?
Um, when it comes to casually dressed in deeper, sorry, when it comes to casually dressed in deeper conversation by Funeral for a Friend, the thing I am influenced by in the writing by that isn't really too much in the It's a Secret EP, but it is like quite a lot of this is in future Internet Friends songs which we have, is the lead guitarist Chris Roberts from Funeral for a Friend. He would always have these amazing, really catchy, arpeggiated, just lead lines that went like almost they went like through the chorus. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, so there's a lot of upcoming Internet Friends songs, which is basically me trying to be Chris Roberts in a major key instead of a minor key, right? Um, but yeah, so that's I think the guitar Chris Roberts guitar playing is how uh Chris Roberts guitar playing has definitely influenced how I play guitar in Internet Friends. Um but yeah, when it comes to the boy bands and the girl bands and like Michael's pick Millennium by Backstreet Boys, uh all of those all of those songs that were written by like Max Martin and his crew, that is my number one influence for melody. So that yeah, I'm always
Sure.
trying to come up with a melody that makes me feel like, Hit Me Baby One More Time by Britney Spears. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Like, and then just stick some guitars under it and call it pop punk. Like,
There it is. There it is.
so, yeah,
that's
that's me.
that's incredible. Um, you guys just covered Ashley Simpson, Pieces of Me, which fantastic. You got yeah, it gave me that feeling of like you know, those punk goes pop records.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, do you think that those albums inspired you at all?
The
I
Punkos
feel
Pop
like
ones.
yeah.
It's really funny. I mean, personally, I didn't really think about that too much until we like put it out, and then I was like, oh wait, I forgot that the Pop Goes Punk records kind of
Yeah.
existed for a
Right.
minute. But I did used to listen to them growing up. But I mean, personally, it's so the way that this cover worked was that um like with these EPs, like the first one that we dropped, and then the upcoming stuff, like me and Ross uh decided to do two cover songs to like follow up the EPs or whatever. So like this one that this is the first one that we just dropped, but Ross gets to pick one and I get to pick one. So that's how these are going. So this is my pick. So the Ashley Simpson song is my pick because that song is just one of those songs where like I kind of like I remember liking it a lot growing up, but I also like I really fell in love with it over the years. Just like it's one of those songs that I kind of just rediscover every once in a while, and I just go, I forgot about this song, but like I can't get it out of my head, and I just like want to listen to it all the time now. There's just
It's
something
such a
about the way it feels and sounds, and like there are a lot of songs in that like early 2000s era that had that feel to it. And I just kind of felt like that was like a really cool one to do. And the cool thing too is, and I didn't even realize this, is that this year is the 20-year anniversary of the song. So like
Oh,
Oh,
really?
really?
people are talking. So Ashley Simpson's like circulating in media right now. There's
Oh,
videos of her playing it live like a couple weeks ago.
no shit.
Uh,
I did. That's
Really?
cool.
yeah, so it came out in 2004. Crazy, right?
Wow.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think that, and I think the other thing too, like to go along with what you asked about Punko's Pop, like yeah, I don't know. We decided to keep it like really close to the original song. Like it doesn't really like change up too much. Like it feels like it came from the same era. Like it almost feels like it could have been our song. Like that's kind of how we wanted
Sure.
it to like feel. Um, so yeah, we just kind of like took it and just did it again. And we had some friends help us put it together, and I'm
Yeah.
really proud of how it came out. Like it's like one of the like it's definitely my favorite cover I've ever done. And it's just like listening to it makes me like really proud. So I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, it's fun, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Michael's vocal performance on that Ashley Simpson cover is incredible. Um, but as far as the pop punk pop was it punk goes
Punk
pop
goes
thing,
pop.
Yeah.
like did it influence the Ashley Simpson thing? For me, not at all. Like
No.
I would say even going forward to all the other stuff like the other covers that we have like lined up, like none of it sounds anything like we I feel like we stay pretty true to like how the songs like actually were. And not to say that the punk goes pop stuff didn't, but you could definitely hear like the genre influence in those. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, for sure.
and yeah, and I feel like we just stayed pretty close. I again, I didn't even think about those
yeah,
the punk goes pop stuff until like when we put this out. I was like, oh, that's a cool hashtag we could use. Like, you know what I mean? But like, yeah,
for me, like those punk go pop albums or pop goes punk. Oh, fuck me,
punk goes
pop.
pop, pop goes
They,
punk, pop goes punk. That's what it is.
yeah, like
Pop goes punk. I
they,
think about that
they
too.
were fun at the time because nothing like that had ever really been done before. But after a while, I realized, and now looking back on them, I definitely realized, and like that they were just they were very gimmicky. Like it was taking
Yeah,
like big hit pop songs that were already a hit, and then you'd put like a screamy breakdown in the middle for a gimmick. Do you know what I mean? And like at the time when you're a teenager, that's fun. Do you know what I mean? It's cool. But like if it's already a hit, either stay the fuck away from it because it doesn't need to be touched, or if you are gonna cover it, stay fucking true to it. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
And that was our approach with the Ashley Simpson one. Yeah, we like, and all the other covers we've done, like I think they all sound like internet friends, but it's not. We haven't just like double timed the chorus. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
Or
yeah,
like put a breakdown in there and added some screams. It's just like it's not needed, man. Like if the song's great, don't try and fix what's not broke. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
And I
100%.
I think yeah, I don't. I mean the pop goes punk. Wait, I keep
That's right.
messing up.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
The pop goes punk thing.
Or
I
punk
don't
goes
think
pop. I
they're
don't
doing
fucking
an
know,
album
dude. I'm
about it.
sorry. I just interrupted you, but I can't now. I can't even remember what it was, dude. It's driving me nuts.
Yeah, I don't think they're doing those pop goes punk albums
It's punk goes
anymore,
pop.
as I
Yeah,
know.
they're
But
not.
like I mean, like Hopeless does like a compilation. Was it Songs That Saved My Life?
Oh,
And
yeah.
right, and like if you listen through to a lot of that stuff, I think kind of the same about it. Like a lot of it sounds a little bit gimmicky. A lot of it sounds like they didn't really stay true to the original, apart from the neck deep cover of Natalie and Imbruglia Torn. Like they clearly and that's why that cover on that album, I think maybe someone in the comments is going to correct me, was the biggest one out of that compilation because they stayed true to the original of that Natalie and Imbruglia song and they did it so well. Do you know what I mean? Um, and yeah, so yeah, I don't really know what I'm trying to say now. I guess I'm just saying that I don't like covers if they're gimmicky. There you go.
That's fair. That's very fair. No, I agree with you. I agree. But now I'm thinking about a pop goes punk album where like you have Kelly Clarkson covering Rancid. I think I'll call
Imagine
something
that.
about that. I think
That'd be
that
kind
would
of
be
sick.
fucking good. That would be
That'd be
sick.
tough. Yeah,
That would be hilarious. Or like Taylor
Uh,
Swift doing Rammstein.
yeah.
yeah, that'd be great. Like um guys, it's been a pleasure talking with you. Anything you guys want to plug?
Um, well, you can get our merch at internetfriendsmerch.com. That would be awesome if you got our t-shirt because being in a band is very expensive, and we do this all for you guys listening. And on that note, if you want to see guitar bands all rise together, go buy some merch from other bands because it's really important to all bands. I think by the time this comes out, we would have just put out the first track of our next EP. So check us out on Instagram, and keep up with the music we're putting out.
He did good. Ross did good there.
Oh, perfect.
Thanks, Michael.
Guys, you heard them. Go check out Internet Friends. Go follow them on social media. Check out their them on Spotify, Apple Music, all that fun shit. Guys, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you so much,
appreciate you,
man.
man. It's been fun.
Get into it, press play, don't quit. Feel the vibe, talk and listen live. Get into it, hit subscribe, don't sit. Join the crew, every week something new. Nostalgia.
And guys, welcome back. I think Internet Friends is fucking awesome. They're a really fun band. If you haven't checked them out yet, there's a link below. Or if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Music, you can just type in Internet Friends, and they'll come up. They have some really fun covers. They have really good original music. And I really think people who are into pop punk are going to like them. So please go check them out. Check out my socials for shows I have coming up. I don't know if I have any shows coming up at the moment. But, check it out anyway. I don't know. I could use a follow. I could use a like. And yeah, we'll see you.